She's got ribbons and paper, a cauldron of glue. With every creation, she's spooking the crew. The black cats purr and the witches all cheer for the magic she spins this time of year. Oh, Indiana Jones, you're the talk of the night, with your Halloween craft shining so bright. Bats and spiders and a ghostly delight. Indiana Jones keeps the season just right.
Hello and welcome to my channel, my spooky friends, and welcome to The Last Thing Thrifted, where we take the last thing thrifted and make something fabulous with it, together with my friends Dawn, Jody, Marika, Shelly, and of course myself. We have a full playlist with fun ideas for fall and Halloween. If you've been here before, you know I have a fascination with what they call doll head vases, and this was very typical of the 1950s. Now I found this lovely little lady, this is Belle from Disney, at the thrift store for only $3, and I was wondering, well, she's a little bit large, but wouldn't she be fun as a bust or as a large doll head vase for Halloween? I've noticed that busts are a big decor item now, and you have busts with like decaying faces and skeletons, and with Frankenstein and the Bride of Frankenstein. So why not make a lovely little witch? So she'll be a bit of a retro witch. But first of all, I need to do a little bit of cosmetic surgery, shall we say? Yes. So I thought she needed a little bit, not wicked, but a little spicy kind of look in her eyes. Now she was like, you know, these big doe eyes, they were just staring straight at you with like, I just wanted her to have a little bit of spice, you know? She is going to be a witch after all, so I wanted her to be a little more enchanting. So I'm using some air dry clay, actually this is foam clay, to extend her it's not your eyebrow, it's not your eyelash, it's your eyelid. There you go. If we keep going, we're gonna find it eventually, but her eyelid, to make that sleepy eye, sultry look to her. And you can see how much it changes her face already. And of course the colors will change and all that stuff. And I have to explain, this is not my typical setup. This was when I was on vacation in Lakeland, and I found this lovely little lady in a Lakeland thrift store. I can't remember which one, but I visited many thrift stores while I was up in Lakeland. Now, I had to make sure that it was adhered properly, so I used a little bit of E6000, and that worked fabulously. Do not do hot glue. It's just going to make a mess. And I'm serious, you can make such a change in her look just by extending the eyelid. It just adds that little sleepy, sultry look to her eyes. So I'm doing it on both sides, as you can see. Her hair wasn't too badly messed up, and here's a trick when you're dealing with doll hair. Do not wash it with shampoo. You wash it with fabric softener, because it is not natural hair, obviously. So it's going to be this synthetic polyester and stuff like that, and that's what fabric softener works well with. So if you ever have to wash your doll's hair, use fabric softener. Now here I am doing her eyebrows. The girl needed some new eyebrows, so I didn't want to use a lot of acetone on her. I used a little bit on her eyes earlier, but because this was going to be more visible, I just started scratching off a little bit of her eyebrows because I wanted a little lift. Now in the background you'll see that I have Luna. She is checking out everything I'm doing. Here I'm trying to match her. You know how hard it is to match your foundation to your skin. Well, the same thing goes for dolls, let me tell you. But you know, with a little yellow, a little pink, I got to the color and I was able to cover a little bit of her eyebrows. But if you can see, sanding down the eyebrows worked fabulously. I think it worked better than the acetone would have, and without making too much of a mess. Now here you'll see that I've matched up the paint color to her skin pretty well, and also the fact that I have to use the same color on her eyelid worked out perfectly. I also have to say, when you're painting plastic like this, just using a bit of a soft sandpapering on it also helps for the paint to adhere. There you can see Luna in the background. She was so funny. Even on this tiny little work table that I had to work on, she had to sit right next to me while I was crafting, and I enjoyed that. Now here you can see both eyelids and eyebrows have been painted, and you can see she has a little bit more of a sultry look. I will fix those humongous pupils because it just doesn't match the look. And this was so much fun. So if you have, like, let's say you have your daughters or your granddaughters have these little doll heads and they don't want them anymore, they're, you know, aged out of them or what have you, you know, you can use them and create like little, you know, decor. You can do this for Christmas as well and make her all Christmassy if you want it also. Here I'm lightening her eyes just a tad, just to make them a little more mystical. She has a hazel eyes, and because the pupil was so huge, I just didn't think it matched. So I decided to add a little bit of olive green and dark green, and because I thought, you know, she's a witchy girl, she decided she deserves to have some green eyes, some mystical green-eyed, like the cats, you know. So here I am painting her irises, they're called, I believe so. Yes, irises. And Luna's doing her job there in the background too. For her eyeliner, I decided to use a very thin permanent marker, and of course here is Luna to take up all the space because I was paying way too much attention to this doll head, obviously, and she needed to let you know she was there. So there you go. So it was a lot of fun. I mean, I really felt like a kid again because yeah, I was literally designing a doll head as an adult. So I was doing her eyeliner and her, you know, her eyebrows and all that stuff. And yeah, lots of fun. And of course, now that we're grown, we have better skills. So you can see how lovely I made her eyebrows, but they have that bit of a sultry arch to them. I added a little bit of purple eyeshadow because that works so well with green eyes. Ask me, I know. And so now I had to cover up her golden dress. Now I wanted to be a little more fancy, and I still might add some more embellishments to her dress, but I do like the very plain black kind of off the shoulder. I think it's very sultry in itself. I was going to add lace, and then it kind of looked like she was wearing a lingerie, and I didn't like that look. So I just think the very classic off the shoulder dress, similar to the one that she was wearing before, but in black, makes such a difference. Look at that. Now I have used Stiffy on her hair. So after I detangled her hair, I actually styled it with Stiffy. I know, does it make sense? Yes, of course, because once again, it's synthetic. So it makes sense that I would use a stiffener like Mod Podge or Stiffy to stiffen that kind of fabric, that the hair. I didn't do the back of the hair yet, but I will be, because look at how great these little curls, this little Veronica Lake. So I used the Veronica Lake look where she would have like one eye covered, because if you know your actresses, Veronica Lake played a witch in the movie I Married a Witch. It's adorable. You have to watch it. And I think that's where the story for Bewitched emerged from. So if you ever get a chance, watch I Married a Witch from like the 1940s or something with the beautiful Veronica Lake. So now we have to create a little witch's hat for her. And of course, I'm going to use what I had on hand. And again, you know, luckily I brought my glue gun. I was at the mercy of whatever I found at the thrift stores up there, because I had just taken paint, glue gun, Mod Podge, the stiffener, because I didn't know if I was going to use like, I was looking actually for doilies, believe it or not, to make like lace ghost, and I couldn't find any. Isn't that amazing? Yeah, so now I got to keep my eyes open because I still want to make some lacy ghosts. I saw that. I think Jody made one recently and it looks so adorable. So I'm going to copy her. I love Jody. So I think it would be adorable to have a little lacy ghost amongst my primitive and retro Halloween decor. So here I had this sparkly, actually, I didn't have this sparkly. I was lucky. I was so lucky that I was nearby to a Michael's on one end of the town, and on the other town there was a Hobby Lobby. So I was able to purchase a few items. I didn't purchase a lot, I had the plain foam sheets with me, but when I saw that there were this, you know, I had to check out the stores. I had to. And so I decided, you know, I think she would look lovely with a sparkly black witch's hat. So as the hot glue dried on the witch's hat, I decided that my little witch needed to have some eyelashes. So luckily, I was also very close to a Dollar Tree and a Publix, and everything that I needed was within 10 minutes. So it was great. So I decided to buy some fake eyelashes for my doll. I know what you're thinking, but I think dolls deserve to have eyelashes too. And if memory serves me right, I think those little doll head vases always had either ceramic lashes, or some of them had like false eyelashes too. So I think it just matches so well. And originally I thought of opening the top of her head to make a vase out of her head, like the doll head vases. But then I said, nah, she looks better and it was very tough to try to open the top of her head. I know that doesn't sound right, but it's just, I think it looks better as a bust, and the busts are so popular now. And the only thing I would do is the back of her hair, I'm going to use some of that stiffener just to make sure that it all stays in place and it doesn't get tangled again. But I think she looks absolutely adorable, and I was so blessed not to have Luna on the table with me as I was finishing off. But of course, Luna has to make her final appearance, and after she tested out the hat, I thought it was time to place the little witch's hat on my adorable little witch, who I think I'll call Esmeralda for her beautiful emerald eyes. And she looks a little bit spicy and like a Latina bruja. I think she looks adorable, and I think she'll be perfect on my Halloween decor. Now, Lakeland has a plethora, and I mean a plethora of thrift stores. And what I love the most is they had those small church thrift stores, because their prices were just right. These little tins were just 25 cents. And I had taken my, there's my Luna. Of course, I had taken my cats on my vacation. I can't leave them behind. But I had also taken some of my foam clay, which I love to work with, because I had two small packets. I had brown and I had white. And I said, you know what, let me take it with me just in case I need it for anything. And sure enough, it came in very handy, especially for these little pie pans. So there were 6 pie pans for 25 cents. You can't beat it. And I thought, oh, how cute. I need to make like a little pumpkin pie. Now, Luna got in the mix, and she was wanting to play with the clay as well. And I didn't let her play with the clay, so she decided that it was time to take up the whole entire desk. I didn't know what to do with her, but there I am trying to show you how I'm pinching the clay. I'm just putting the clay on the edges. There's no need to use your clay and fill in the cavity, because you're going to fill that cavity with pumpkin stuff, right? So I didn't want to waste my clay. So finally, I was able to get Luna to move a little bit. She just wanted to know that I would cuddle her. Mind you, Luna hid for the first day that we had gotten there, because I'm her emotional support human. She's not my emotional support anything. I'm the one that supports her anxiety and helps her. Here I had these cotton pads that I used to take off makeup, and there she is just taking up all the space. It was cuddle time. And so I gave her a little cuddle time there, as you can see. Now, back to my pie. So I had used those cotton pads, put them inside, and then I covered the top with my air dry clay, my foam clay, and let it set so that it was nice and dry. But that way it filled the cavity without using all of my clay. I just had to use a small amount of clay at the very top. And here I'm trying to paint it a pumpkin orange, so it looks like pumpkin pie. I don't know if it was too orange, too red. Again, I took my own paints, but I only brought the basic colors. I did brown, gray, black, white, and red, yellow, and green. I mean, red, yellow, and blue, so I can make all the other colors that I needed to do. Now, here I'm using my white clay, and I'm making a little dollop of whipped cream, or whatever you call it, and I'm pretty much done. I'm also going to use a little bit of the white clay on the edges to cover the seams between the pie crust and the pie itself, and it does a pretty good job. I didn't have one of those cake decorating kits or whatever, so I could have put the clay in there and just try to push it out to make it look more like whipped cream. But for now, I think this serves its purpose, and I think it looks adorable. So now I can add it to my Halloween and Thanksgiving and fall decor. These would be cute on your Thanksgiving table as well, unless somebody tries to eat them. Last but not least, at one of the thrift stores, I found this wall art decor that you can tell that it's from the Dollar Tree, but I actually got it for like 50 cents. And look at it. I thought it just looked like an enchanted forest to me. So I know that a lot of people use these paintings and draw ghosts, but I thought it would be nice to have some little witches in the middle of the forest, and they're doing their little incantations. Now, we are going to have a witchy collaboration, and I was about to save this for then, but I have so many witchy ideas. I'll come up with some new stuff. So I thought this would be fun here. And of course, if I'm doing something witchy, I have my little black cat Kudu, who is joining me there in the background. Didn't have a pencil, so I had to go with a pen. So I'm like very nervous there. Because once it's done in pen, it's kind of hard. I would have to repaint everything, which would have been such a hassle. But I just threw caution to the wind and said, well, let's see if this little witchy design turns out okay. By the way, shout out to Lakeland Airbnb where I stayed. This was Megan's and JP. Thank you so much. Your home was lovely. I love the pool, love the location. It was in a very dangerous location because it was right across the street from a bakery, which was fantastic. So I'm glad I walked a lot in the morning because I shed the pounds that I ate from that bakery, because smelling the bakery and there was a coffee shop that would grind their own, grown coffee. So it was just, the smells in that area was so nice. Oh, lovely, lovely, lovely. And beautiful restaurants and diners and everything. Just a lovely location. And lakes, because Lakeland is named for a land of lakes. Well, there is a land of lakes also in Florida, but there's like 40 lakes in Lakeland, believe it or not. So here I'm doing a bit of a scraggly older witch and a lovely pretty witch, and they're doing their spells or whatever they do in the forest. And I loved the trees because they were dark. So I thought this would look like it's nighttime. The only light that's really coming is from the fire where the cauldron is setting. But I needed some autumn colors. So I came in with some brown. So if you see this at Dollar Tree, I think this is still out there in Dollar Tree. This makes such a lovely backdrop for an autumny kind of look. And right now it doesn't, because it's just basic light greens and stuff. But with a little bit of brown and some oranges and yellows and reds, this really becomes like an autumn forest in the dark evening, or like at twilight. This almost looks like it's at twilight right before the sun sets and when the witches come out to play. So I would love to come up with a story for these little witches, but I haven't come up with one yet. Anyway, if you come up with a story, tell me what these two witches are named and what spells are they working on. Are they working on a cooler weather spell? I think that's if I want witches to work on anything, I don't want love or money. I just want cooler weather here in Miami. I would love to have fall in Miami someday. One day, who knows? But if there's somebody magical out there and you can conjure up some fall weather a little earlier this summer, we would greatly appreciate it. So here I'm just adding some blacks and some oranges, and it's very easy. All you do is dab, dip and dab, dip and dab, dip and dab. That's the process here, people. Dip and dab in all the beautiful autumny colors. Look at that. Look at the difference it's made already. Now, let's get back to the witches. I'm terrified. I don't know if I'm going to mess it up, but I'm going to try my best with these little witches. And yes, I'm using my makeup brush because I felt safer with the makeup brush. I did bring paint brushes as well and my glue gun. I come prepared. Believe it or not, do you do this? Are you a crafter? Are you that crazy that I have like a separate little case with a glue gun and glue sticks and paints and paint brushes and Mod Podge, just in case I am inspired? And this is how much I love to craft, that I look forward to crafting even when I'm on vacation. Mind you, I thought I had to have this ready for last Saturday. That's why I went live on Saturday, because I really didn't have a video to put out, because I didn't realize this was for this Saturday. So that's all right. It worked out. I had this all done, and all I had to do was my voiceover when I came home, which was fabulous. And I really do enjoy crafting, especially for Halloween, and of course for Christmas as well. But Halloween is just that, fall, and Halloween it's that time of the year that it really becomes magical, all the way from, from now until pretty much until December. And then, especially after the doldrums of summer, the long hot summer, it's just so fun to imagine the cooler weather of fall. Again, if anybody has any magical things that can make, Miami cooler, hey, that would be so great. Now let's bring that fire to life that's right under the cauldron. So there have been branches and logs placed underneath the cauldron, and now I'm adding some fire, some flames that are flickering around the cauldron and adding light to this darkened forest. And now I'm going to add their spell that's they're casting. Their spell is bringing out all this smoke, this green mysterious smoke that's going through the trees and coming down to the south and bringing some autumny weather. And I do apologize to those who really do enjoy the summer. I just get tired of summer for so many months here in South Florida. But here we're having these little witches conjure up a little cool weather for us to enjoy as we prepare for Halloween and fall. I'm using some of this dragonfly paint also, which has a little bit of glitter and a little bit of shimmer, so it looks a little more magical. And I have to tell you one little tidbit that I found out, that Lakeland has a lot of maple trees around, and believe it or not, by late November they do turn red. So maybe I should visit Lakeland in a late fall, early December. Now let's take a look at everything together as we prepare for our fall and Halloween decor.
Oh, pumpkins and raggedy ghosts, witch hats by the fire, where shadows boast, black cats cozy, curled up tight. Halloween's here, under the moon's pale light.
Thanks again to my lovely friends, Dawn of Shabby Meets Bling, Jody at Southern Seasons, Marika of Marika Creations, Shelly at Repurposed My Way. Thanks always for inspiring me to use the last thing thrifted for this playlist. Remember to check out their channels and the full playlist link down in my description below. Thanks again for stopping by, and if you enjoyed this, please remember to like, share, and subscribe, and most importantly, stay safe, be kind, God bless each and every one of you, and remember to live the adventure, and I'll see you again very soon.